Okay. Exit. Hey, Len.
Hello.
Okay, it's just after 6:30. We're waiting for people to join in the webinar. So I'm going to give it just a minute or two for all of those who are already in and waiting for us to begin. It takes a while for people to come into the room. So I'm going to be back in 1 minute. I want to say hi to more people joining us as everybody enters. We're going to get started here in about 1 minute because I want to give people a chance to join us. I'll chat a little bit while we're waiting. So welcome everyone. I'm Susan Greeley. I'm the National Director of Wellness Services at Castle Connolly Private Health Partners. And just want to tell you as you join, there will be a Q&A at the end. Feel free to submit questions at any point. And you will also be receiving a recording of the webinar after with the PowerPoint slides. So again, we're just waiting for more people to log in and join us before I get started officially. Got quite a few, and it's so you know what, we'll slowly get started. I would like to welcome everyone again. As I said, I'm Susan Greeley, and for those of you who are joining me for the first time, I like to emphasize that these wellness webinars are intended to educate and support our members. And with them, it's my goal to inspire and truly empower all of you to make positive lifestyle choices and habits, even more so now since this pandemic and enormous change in all of our lives. So again, there will be a Q&A at the end during the presentation. Feel free to submit questions at any point. And I'll go ahead and get started. So again, thank you for joining me tonight for the SENS Wellness webinar on exercise. And this evening's event is about mindful movement at home and how to incorporate simple and effective exercise routines into your daily life. So I'm hearing from so many people these days that getting in any exercise is really challenging. And we all know that staying active is imperative for our overall health and well-being. It's simply a way of life to get out and move naturally. However, since that's not entirely possible for most of us these days, we need to focus on what we can do at home. And regardless of the pandemic, that's important. We have rainy days such as today. So I think we can all benefit from moving mindfully in our homes. And that said, that takes me to the introduction of our speaker tonight, Len Glassman. So Len is a master level personal trainer and certified health nutritionist. He has over 25 years of professional health and fitness experience. Len works extensively with physicians as well as other health and wellness professionals. He develops coordinated, comprehensive approaches to working with his diverse clientele. Len's expertise is helping people achieve relief and in their recovery in order to resume their normal physical activity, especially for those dealing with soft tissue conditions such as lower back, shoulder, knee and neck issues, as well as other chronic health issues. He works with people with MS, cancer, arthritis, diabetes, high blood pressure, among other conditions. A lot of experience. So Len's expertise is helping, he's also the author of the book Soul Trainer, which is a fictional fitness series of short stories that he independently published just last year. Len has also contributed articles to several health and fitness magazines, including Men's Fitness and Consumer Health Digest. So I want to thank Len for joining us here tonight, and I will turn things over to you, Len.
Great. Thank you very much, Susan. Thank you, everyone, for joining us tonight. We truly appreciate you taking time out to be a part of this webinar community. I'm very excited and honored to provide you with practical health and fitness resources that you can put to good use right away, especially during these challenging times, as Susan had mentioned, when we're we're stuck at home and we're staring at the walls and we're invading our refrigerators. I would definitely like to take the opportunity to personally thank Susan Greeley, National Director of Wellness Services at Castle Connolly Private Health Partners, and the exceptional team of professionals at Castle Connolly that helped to make this webinar possible. Restrooms are to the left and refreshments are located against the back wall. Just kidding, folks. A little virtual Zoom humor to lighten things up. Okay, so let's get started. So I'm sure if I asked for a showing of hands, almost everyone on this webinar would agree that maintaining a physically active lifestyle is very important. Since I can't actually see you raise your hands, I'm going to assume that everybody's hands are up and that we are all in agreement. I would also venture to say that the underlying reasons each of you have for maintaining a physically active lifestyle are as varied as the types of exercises that exist out there. For some people, it could be wanting to stay active in sports or hobbies, or continuing to work and be productive. For others, it could be maintaining an independent lifestyle, or traveling, or participating in social and volunteer activities. Or perhaps it could be staying physically active and emotionally strong for your family, feeling good about yourself, or where you are and what you're doing and where you're headed in your life. And for some, it could be the difference between living with or without pain and chronic fatigue, being able to stand, to sit, to bend, to carry, to reach, along with the hundreds of other physically demanding activities we expect from our bodies each and every day. Knowing what we already know about the importance of exercise and why it's vital to maintaining our overall quality of life, physical independence, and the multitude of unique and compelling reasons out there. Let me ask you, why aren't most of us exercising? Why is it so confusing to figure out what exercises to do? And why do most people dislike exercising so much? Well, allow me to take a shot at explaining why. It basically boils down to this. Most of us think of exercise as a part of life instead of a way of life. Think of it like this. Do you give brushing your teeth every day a second thought, or is it pretty much at this point automatic? At least we hope it's automatic. Or how about this one? What about washing your hands? Do you now give that a second thought, or has it now become second nature? Why is that? Well, it's because you've conditioned yourself, right, to make these things a way of life. For most of us, that's not the way that we think about exercise. It's typically low on our to-do list and not a particularly pleasant experience for various reasons, some of which have to do with feelings of discomfort and pain and fatigue while we're doing it. Others have to do with quite simply not knowing what to do, where to do it, how to do it. And especially during these times when we're stuck in the house, you know, we're just like, okay, well, I'm used to going to the gym, but now what am I supposed to do? Well, at this point, I'm probably getting a few nods of the head, and you're kind of wondering, well, okay, well, where's all this going? Well, okay, here it goes. What I'm proposing is that you start taking care of your body, which is a nicer way of saying exercise. When you first wake up in the morning until you go to bed at night. That being said, the total amount of time each day that you should actually spend exercising, I mean taking care of your body, amounts to about 15 to 30 minutes a day. So I guess for some, I'm starting to sound like one of those fitness infomercials, but I assure you, it's not. I mean, I've helped many people turn their life around by showing them just how easy it is to add exercise into their life instead of it just being a little part of their life. So let's dive into these slides, and hopefully I can make you a believer. Here I've set forth some key components to maintaining an active and healthy lifestyle. So the first one that we talk about is consistency and feasibility. It's sort of like the need and want mindset. Well, I'm going to go through all three of these first, and then we'll move on. The second key component is a suitable and it needs to be exercise, needs to be suitable and useful for each stage of life and physical ability. And the third key component is that it needs to be progressive and challenging. So let's go on. So the first component, consistency and feasibility. We have underneath that the need versus the want mindset. Most people get these two confused when it comes to taking care of their bodies, I say. For example, I need to lose 5 pounds. Well, actually, you probably want to lose 5 pounds. Or I want to look and feel good about myself. Well, that's very understandable. However, unless you need to look good and feel good about yourself, chances are you're going to struggle. You know, think about the toothbrush and the hand washing example that I mentioned before. If you didn't have to do it, would you still do it? And how about this one? In order for me to get through the day without aches, pains, fatigue, and a whole host of other issues most of us deal with every day, I need to exercise. Now we are getting somewhere, okay? You've turned that want mindset into a need mindset, okay? And that, my friend, is a game changer. So let's go on to the next part. So if not, now when? So we're at number 2 up above. If there's one saying you should be repeating to yourself every day, it's this one. Because when it comes to taking care of your health, there is no when. There's only now. This is especially critical, as Susan had mentioned, these days, given what we're learning about COVID and the need to maintain a strong immune system, as well as managing underlying chronic health and respiratory issues such as heart disease, hypertension, asthma, diabetes, and a host of other secondary health factors that are putting many of us at risk. Let's move on. Anytime, anywhere, any place. It sounds kind of like a love song. Well, it's definitely music to my ears, but the key to this one is making exercise a way of life. It's to learn how to do it no matter where you are. What if anything, you have available to you, and what time of day it is, day or night. So our ability to exercise is infinite. It just takes a creative mind, a can-do spirit, and a pocket full of tools to know what to do with what you have available to you. Once you understand your unique body mechanics, there are infinite number of ways to exercise. What about, for example, if all you have is maybe just a wall, let's say, and a chair? Well, we're going to get to that pretty soon. The next up is suitable and useful. So exercise doesn't come in a box unless it's a Jack in the Box. Well, does anybody remember those? No, but seriously, it's pretty self-explanatory. Suffice to say, in the 25 plus years that I have had the privilege of working with thousands of people from all walks of life and age and ability and needs, levels of interest in exercise, I have never used the same exercise program twice. All right, everybody is treated as an individual with unique needs and abilities, body styles, and perhaps most importantly, personalities. The next one is tools for success. Without proper tools, such as exercise guidance, motivation, and direction, you're kind of shooting in the dark, which most of the time leads to injury, frustration, or a combination of both. Push and pull sit and stand, bend and lift. This is the unsexy sounding objectives that you should look to achieve when you're when you're going through your exercise program. This is really, these are the key components right here. Push and pull, sit and stand, bend and lift. I mean, let me ask you, who needs sexy if you're not able to do any of these things anyway? So that's really a critical part of what you should be incorporating into your daily exercise program. Next on the key components list is that your exercise program needs to be progressive and challenging. First one up, age, ability, and activity level appropriate. This goes without saying. Your exercise program should mirror where you are in your lifespan and what you do in your everyday life. I mean, I think there should be an exercise warning sign, that says, warning, do not attempt to exercise like your 20-year-old self. The next one up, your body is not one-dimensional. If you normally don't, let's say, strap yourself into a machine and lift and push things, then it goes without saying that your exercise program shouldn't really consist of those things. So your body is designed to move in practically endless directions, and so should your exercise program. Now, this is the last one. No pain, all gain. This is what it should say instead of the other way around. We've been programmed to think that if we're struggling and in some kind of pain, that it's working and it's worth it. Well, nothing can be truer than that. There's no reason why you should be in pain either during or after your workouts. It just doesn't make it's counterproductive. And the key to understanding the difference between muscle pain and muscle fatigue is to personally experience and understand the correct balance between physical exertion and intensity, muscle activation and safe progression, and the real difference between muscle fatigue and physical pain. I could tell you from having done this for 25 years, it's as much an art as it is a science. Okay, so let's move on. This is the part that we've been all waiting for. Here are some everyday stretches that you can do that are very simple, practical, easy, and I would recommend you do them throughout your day. So the first one is a wall stretch. Okay, all you need is a wall and a minute of your time. So basically what you're doing, this green part behind here is the wall. Basically what you're doing is you're placing your heels, which you can't see on this slide, your elbows, okay, and the backs of your shoulders and the back of your head against the wall, preferably with your palms facing up. But if that is too difficult or causes you pain, start with your palms placed against the wall instead of your palms facing up. Okay, and now hold that position for at least 30 seconds or longer. So all you're doing is you're standing up against the wall essentially. Okay, but the way in which you stand is important. The backs of your shoulders, the backs of your elbows, the back of your head, and your heels and your palms, and just stay like that, okay? You're gonna start to feel your posture resetting, okay? And recognize the difference between your everyday posture and when you're up against the wall. So this resetting and maintaining your posture every day is half the battle, okay? Do this as often as you can throughout your day, especially if you sit a lot. After a while, you will start to self-correct your posture throughout your day. So you're not even gonna realize at some point that all of a sudden you're gonna be like, oh, you know what? I feel a lot different than when I'm up against the wall. And then you will naturally start to self-correct, almost like what they call muscle memory. Okay, the next one up is the hamstring stretch. Okay, this is great for your hamstrings, which is the back part of the leg right here, without the need to bend over, which can typically trigger back pain. So what you do is you prop your leg up on a chair or something sturdy, about 2 to 3 feet off of the ground, and hold onto the wall and gently lean forward with your arm. Now, the reason for this stretch is tight hamstrings, again, which is the back of this leg, tend to cause and exacerbate back pain, okay? Because the hamstring muscle shortens when it's tight and it pulls on the glutes, okay, which is back here, and also your lower back muscles, okay? So that's really interesting. This muscle here affects this muscle here, okay? The tighter this is, the more this has to work, okay? So the key to this one is holding the position just like this for 15 seconds without bobbing or overextending. You just want to feel a slight pull behind your leg. And obviously you do both legs. Now, my hand, my left hand, which you can't see, it's chopped off, is holding the wall. You don't want to worry about your balance if you do have some balance issues. So you want to have that other arm on the wall so that you can focus on feeling the appropriate stretch. And if anybody has any questions, we have a Q&A where you can put in whatever you'd like. And if we don't get to it now, then we will definitely respond to everybody's questions. And we really appreciate the questions, looking forward to it. Next up, the sit stretch. Okay, this is also a great stretch to loosen your hamstrings, your lower back, as well as your hip flexors, okay, which also tend to shorten when we sit for long periods of time. Okay, so the way to do this is you sit on a sturdy chair on a non-skid surface and bend and cross one leg over, right, like this, over the opposite leg at the ankle and above the kneecap. That's it. So it's like crossing your leg, but you're sitting in a chair. Now you see where my knee is. Chances are, if you do have tight hamstrings and hip flexors, then your knee is going to be up here somewhere, okay? And that's a sign. That's an indication that you're tight. So you really want to strive to have your knee almost in line with your foot here, okay? Then for more advanced, you can reach forward. So you see how my right hand is extended forward, all right? And that increases the intensity of this stretch. Again, you want to hold these stretches for at least 15 to 30 seconds. The beauty of it is you can do this all day. You can do this throughout the day. It's not like something like, oh, one and done. These are things that counter some of your daily movements or non-movements, like sitting around a lot. The next one is the shoulder neck, the neck stretch or neck tuck. This is a bit challenging to get into the right position, but it's designed to stretch the shoulder right here and the neck muscle right here. The key is to keep the extended arm, this guy right here, my right arm, straight across the chest, and to apply pressure using the other arm right at the elbow joint, right here. So my left arm is wrapped underneath, and I'm pushing with my left arm, I'm pushing my right arm in towards my chest. At the same time, I'm tilting my neck in the same direction as the arm that I am stretching. So you're getting a really nice neck stretch right here, and you're getting a really great shoulder stretch right here, okay? Next up, here come some of my all-time favorites. All right, here's the exercise part. First one is marching in place. I mean, who doesn't like to march in place, right, Susan? The key to this one is placing both hands on the wall, just like I have here. So again, pretend this is the wall behind me, the green part. Okay, with your elbows slightly bent and raising and lowering each leg while leaning into the wall. And doing it this way keeps you balanced while elevating your heart rate and engaging your core, which is That's a word that gets thrown around a lot, and we're going to talk about that a little bit later. So for beginners, okay, you want to go about 15 seconds, stop and do it again 3 times. For intermediate, people that are about intermediate level, 30 seconds, 3 times. So just to make it clear, what we're doing is raising up my left knee, bringing it back down, and then raising up my right knee, just like you're marching in place. You have your hands up against the wall, your back is straight. Advanced, you can go 1 minute or beyond, 3 times. Again, these are not typically challenging exercises because they're designed for you to incorporate them in your day. So this is something that you do, not just once, like you go to the gym. This is like, hey, you know what? I'm going to do this 3, 4, 5, 6 times a day. And then it becomes natural, right? Brushing your teeth, washing your hands. Next thing, leg kickouts. And again, if anybody has any questions, please ask us. We'll go through and we'll be happy to answer them. This is an exercise designed to engage your glutes and your lower back in a safe, what I call a walking type manner. The key to this one is keeping your legs straight. So right here, this leg is locked out while performing and doing what I call a sweeping motion with your foot sort of angled outward. Picture like Herman Munster walking in the TV series, The Munsters, and you're good to go. You'll understand what I mean. Your legs are locked out and you're walking in a walkout leg position. And once again, your hands are up against the wall. So the beauty of this is you go right from marching in place directly into the leg kickouts. Same thing in terms of intensity and frequency and duration. Beginners, 15 seconds or more, times 3 times you want to do these. Intermediate, 30 seconds, advanced up to 1 minute. Okay, we're on a roll. We're up to the next slide. These are, again, part of the wall workout routine. So the first one is the wall push-ups and the torso rotation. The great thing about this one is that again, you can go right into it from the previous slide. So these are designed to sort of, have a continuous flow. So for the wall push-up and torso rotation, this is a pretty basic move of a wall push-up, okay? And then the leg slide from before, and now all you're doing is you're bringing the arm into it. So now you're getting a little bit of torso or trunk rotation at the same time that you're getting a little bit of upper body through the wall push-up, and you're getting a little bit of glute and leg through the leg slide. The next one, wall squats. I mean, who doesn't love to do wall squats, right? A great way to strengthen your legs and your glutes without added pressure on your knees and back. So the key is to press your back against the wall and slightly bend your legs only to the point where your knees stay behind your toes. So that's kind of worth repeating. My back is pushed up against the wall here, all right, as well as my glutes and as well as my upper shoulders. So my whole back is pressed into the wall. My elbows are pressed into the wall as well. And then I am slightly inching down the wall, but only to the point where my knees stay behind my toes. Whoops, we got to go back. So the key is if your knees are past your toes, that's a knee pain waiting to happen. You want to keep your knees behind your toes at all times. Now the difference in these two slides is you see how my toes are pointed forward on these, and then on this one, my toes are pointed outward. What this does when you're in this position is it works the inner part of the thigh, as opposed to in this slide, this works the quadricep, the front part of the thigh muscle. And again, these are going to take a little bit of time for people to get used to. They require some practice, and everybody sort of feels them differently. So there are some modifications sometimes that need to be made. Here's here's where we get into your core and your back exercise routine. All right, this is where this is where you want to bring in the chair. So the first one is called the chair single leg raise. It's this one right here. And this is great for your abdominal muscles. First things first though, please use a sturdy chair with a raised back placed on a non-skid surface. All right, that's number one. This exercise is my number one client favorite for strengthening your abdominal muscles and obliques, which are the side muscles right here, without compromising your neck and your back, all in the comfort of your favorite chair. So it's a great, let's go back. It's a great way to engage your core, your abdominal muscles in a sitting position on a chair. Whereas most of the time, a lot of the exercises that are designed for core, you tend to have to use your neck, or you have to raise your legs, or you're on the floor and your back starts to bother you. This takes care of everything. Again, it takes a little bit of know-how in terms of technique, but the key to it is to lean back while keeping your lower back right here straight and sit closer to the edge of the chair. And once you start to feel your abdominal muscles, what we call activate, stop and raise your leg up to about a 90 degree right here. This guy, my right leg is just raised up, and hold it. Hold that position. Once again, if you're just starting off, about 15 seconds up to a minute or longer for the advanced version. Now, you may feel some discomfort in your lower back and your mid back when you first start doing these. In which case, you might want to try not to lean back so much, and make sure maybe your lower back is straight and not bent. So you kind of have to, like I said, you got to experiment with this a little bit. Now, here's the rule of thumb for people who don't have chronic back issues. If you feel greater discomfort in your back or your leg than you do in your abdominal muscles, then stop. Stop what you're doing. Yeah, otherwise, so if you're saying, oh, right here, I'm feeling a lot of pain, typically in the groin area, or my lower back is bothering me, stop and try and adjust your position to reduce the discomfort and emphasize just using your abdominal muscles. Again, it takes a little bit of doing. You may need to raise yourself up a little bit. You may need to sit a little bit on the end of the chair. There's lots of different adjustments that need to be made, but the key is that you really want to focus on using your abdominal muscles here. The other rule of thumb is that if after you complete the abdominal exercise, your back discomfort immediately goes away and it does not persist, then you can keep going. Again, that's only if you don't have a chronic back issue. Now here's some different variations that you can experiment with. So for example, this is the same exercise, but now my arms are extended upward and my fingers are clasped. It's a bit more intense. And here I'm rotating side to side. So I'm twisting my arms from side to side, and that triggers the oblique muscles, the ones on your sides. Next up is core and back exercise routine, wall pressers. This is a great arm and upper body exercise. The key to this one is to just place your hands, your palms and your fingers against the wall, nothing else, while leaning back against the wall with the weight of your body. So you're basically just holding on to the wall with your hands, and you're nothing else, not your legs, not your back, not your neck. So, and what that does is, by leaning back into the wall, you get a great upper body workout, particularly the back part of your upper body, and it also engages your core muscles at the same time. It's a lot more challenging than it looks. The next one is wall knee raises. This is the last one, but it's definitely not the least. This is what I call a finisher exercise because it basically uses every muscle at the same time. So it's basically a combination of all the other exercises that were demonstrated packed into one. So you start off by placing your back against the wall, kind of like the wall stretch, and then bend your arm and push your, right in here, you want to bend your arms right here and push your elbows into the wall. And then at that point, you want to raise your leg about 90 degrees and hold it. So the key here is to what we call recruit your abdominal muscles while you're holding your leg up and placing and pushing your elbows into the wall. And there you have it. You know, each of these exercises takes practice. And with practice and daily dedication, you will start to see small changes in the way that you carry yourself throughout your day. Your back will fatigue less, and you'll start changing your mindset from one of wanting to exercise to needing to exercise. So in conclusion, I'm an avid believer in the power of exercise as a form of medicine. You know, chances are I can show you a stretch or an exercise and make a lot of your pains and aches go away, as long as you do them daily and as a way of your life. And I'm also a big believer that exercise has the power to unite people and bring them together from all walks of life as a form of positive reinforcement and as a communal sense of accomplishment. So I really appreciated the opportunity to take this time to, you know, to teach this. I know that it's a lot of information all at one time. Like I said, I'm happy to spend some time with each of the participants and go through these exercises with them one-on-one so that you really get a sense of understanding what it's supposed to feel like and how much you're supposed to do this and what it's for, because, you know, usually I got my hands on you and I'm working with you, and this is a little bit of a different situation. But in conclusion, I'd really like to thank each of you for taking the time tonight to spend with us and really like taking an active interest in your physical health and your well-being. And I'll just leave you with this one passage from my book, Soul Trainer. And here it is. So while fitness is a choice, it's one of the most impactful and life-changing activities you can turn to when you feel as though you have no choices left. So thank you very much. Thank you, Susan. And
Thank you.
that was a lot of fun for me, and I hope everybody learned something tonight.
Thank you, Len. I think so. I'm getting a lot of great comments. That's fantastic. So I was doing it with you, just so you all know. I'm in my yoga pants. I was against the wall. I hope everybody did. I didn't know I would like marching in place so much. So that was, thank you. Thank you, Len. We have plenty of questions, so I'll dive right in, okay?
Go back to the stop to share. So how's that?
Yes.
That good?
Perfect, perfect. Okay, so we'll start with, actually, how do you strengthen the areas needed for, we have golfers among us, for golf, your back, chest, core, and arms? I mean, you did get into that, but any additional specifics?
Absolutely. So for golfers, it's a lot about torque and rotation and flexibility of your torso. So doing movements where you're bringing your arm back behind you, where you're rotating from side to side, strengthening your obliques. So the one exercise that I was talking about where you're sitting in the chair and you are extending your arm straight up and you're going side to side like this, that's an awesome exercise for your obliques, because when you are golfing, we tend to use a lot of just your upper body as opposed to your core muscles. And your obliques, once you start to be able to isolate the feeling of what it's like to use your obliques, it's a game changer for golf. I like to use resistance tubing with a lot of my golfer clients because it simulates using a golf club.
Oh, excellent. Very okay. Thank you. Okay, the next one. If somebody has a bad back and knees, do you have any specifics off the top of your head to help them not injure themselves more while exercising, some
Absolutely.
exercise?
I mean, this program that I just presented is ideal for a person who is experiencing those types of issues with your back and your knees. These are low impact, but you get a lot out of them. So chances are, with a bad back and a bad knee, standing positions tend to be favorable when it comes to exercise. Getting on the ground tends to be challenging. Doing traditional type exercises like heavy squats and lunges and things of that nature tend not to work. A lot of movement, where you're doing like a repetitive movement over and over again, those tend not to work. So a lot of these exercises that I'm showing you are they're isolating. You're just holding positions in place and you're activating the muscles as opposed to wearing out the joints. So I would definitely recommend that people with knee issues and lower back issues start to incorporate this program that I just went through every day, and you should really start to see some improvement.
Awesome. And it is. I noticed that on the low impact, and I was doing it, and I could already feel the benefit. And I think that's the difference. So it doesn't have to be complicated or so intense and painful.
Right.
Quick question on the chair. Where is the chair positioned? I think that was on that first exercise.
Yeah, that's a great question. Yeah. So the chair is pushed up against the wall. So the back of the chair, that's why I like to use a high back chair, is pressed up against the wall. So it gives a little bit more support so that, that chair is not wobbly. And
Right.
yeah, and you want to get like a cushion chair, or you want to stick maybe a towel or a pillow under the chair. You don't want something hard because you want to be able to lean back and not feel like you're crushing your glutes. It needs to be comfortable. And like I said, most importantly, this is not a type of exercise that you do with like a rolling chair or like one of those beach chair. Like you need to have a really sturdy chair in order to be able to support yourself.
Right. And prevent injury. That's the main thing.
Absolutely.
Okay. I have several different questions about knees in particular, and protecting them, strengthening them for runners, and
Yeah. So I that's my forte. So here's the deal with knees. You really, the only way to strengthen a knee per se is the back of the knee, right? So that's where the only part of the knee that has the muscles and the ligaments and the tendons is the back part of the knee, not the front. The front of it is just primarily cartilage and bone. So the key is to focus on doing strengthening exercises for the back of the knee, doing like pelvic raises, for example, which is going to be hard for me to show people right now.
yeah,
But
I know what those are, right?
you know what they are. And I could do another series just on knees and backs at some point, if that might be helpful. But think about the fact that, the only part that you can really strengthen is the deep back part of the knee. The other thing that is interesting about knees is you can increase your synovial fluid. Now, a lot of people might not know what synovial fluid is, but synovial fluid is like the oil or the lubrication that's inside your body, throughout your body. It lubricates your joints essentially. So what is interesting with knees is if you just do a simple knee kickback in a fairly quick manner, so you're just hinging back with your knee and sort of, we used to call them heel kicks, if you remember, but if you just do that motion where you kick back your knee, all right, in a safe manner, what it does is it actually increases your synovial fluid in your knee, and it reduces the friction, which typically causes the pain.
Excellent. Okay, so the movement through there gets the fluid going.
Exactly.
Got it. Excellent. Okay. How long do you hold the wall squats?
So if you're just starting out, oh, the wall squat, that's the one.
Yeah.
There is no limit on
Okay.
how long you do that, but I would recommend probably about a minute. And then what's really interesting about the wall squat, and I didn't go into this, but it's worthwhile, is after you have gone through that minute of doing the wall squat, and literally you're going to feel such a difference in the way that your posture is aligned. You're literally, your body is going to start working more efficiently. You're going to have blood flow better, circulatory. Your spine is going to be more in a line. So your cerebral fluid is going to, start to go up and down your body better. I mean, it's unbelievable. Your muscles are going to start to loosen up. After you've done that, step away from the wall, all right? And then stay in that same alignment position for about 30 seconds afterwards. So that way, you then will realize that your posture is probably so out of whack from the way that it normally is throughout your day. So it's almost like you're reinforcing the fact that you need to correct your posture by stopping afterwards and taking a few minutes and stepping away and just staying in that position and being like, wow, this really feels weird, but it really feels good. And like I said, after a while, you're automatically going to start to self-correct.
Right. That was very eye-opening to me in doing it with you tonight. Yeah, no, I will be doing that. So another is about cardiovascular exercise. For me, those marching in place, I absolutely got my heart rate up, and I was impressed because I know that that's missing for a lot of people right now in their homes.
Yeah.
Are there any other exercises besides the marching in place that can help get your heart rate up?
I mean, I would say that there are lots of different exercises, but it really depends on the physical ability of the individual. So I kind of try to cater this to people that are, either beginner or intermediate levels. You know what's? I'll throw one out there that might be of interest. So when you're doing that chair abdominal exercise, if you want, I can go back to the screen, or we can. Would it be helpful for me to go back to the screen, or do we have time? Not really.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, we'll take the time.
So if we go back to here, and we go down to, and I'll need to share the screen right here. Just bear with me.
Sure. I think from beginning.
Can you see the screen or no?
We can, yeah. If you.
Here we go.
Just.
I need to. From the beginning. Okay, let me just go back. Sorry, this is taking a little bit longer.
No, that's okay.
So when you're in this position, what's helpful is then to just put both hands on the sides of the chair and do that marching in place while you're in this position. So if you have bad knees, chances are when you're standing, it tends to put a lot of pressure on your knees. But when you're sitting, you could replicate that same marching in place movement without all of the impact on your knees. So that's that's just one example where you can get a little bit of extra cardio. Again, I'd be happy to do like some other slide presentations in the future that would deal with more sustained cardio activity.
Okay. But that, I had an aha moment. I'm like, I could tell that would work. Okay, stay with the slides there, Len, for a second. One of the question is, can you please describe the second to last exercise? I'm not sure which one it is. And then there's a follow-up question to that too.
I bet you it's this one. I bet you it's the wall presses. Yeah, this one is a little strange because it's hard to show it on a picture. Basically, all you're doing, again, this green part is the wall. All you're doing is you're pressing your hands against the wall. So there's no other part of my body is touching the wall. So no other part of the back of my body is touching the wall. What I've done is I've inched forward a few inches away from the wall, and then I lean back and just place my palms onto the wall so that only my hands are on the wall. And you can't believe how challenging that is just to do that.
Right.
Does that
Okay.
make sense, or is it still a little confusing?
No, I think that explains it perfectly. And then the next one on the wall knee raises next to it. Where are your feet in that one?
Okay. So again, assume this is the wall right here, the green part. So you're back up against the wall. Your heel, in this case, my left heel, is back up against the wall. And then my glutes and my elbows, everything is pressed up against the wall. And then at that point, I am then raising my right knee up and just holding that. And you're going to feel this in a bunch of places. By pressing your elbows into the back of the wall, you actually engage your chest muscles.
Okay.
And then by raising your leg up, you activate your abdominal muscles.
Got it. Okay. So everything flush against the wall. Your feet are
Flush against the wall, exactly.
That's tough, actually. Like,
Not easy.
I tried, it's not. Okay. Do you have any videos of these, Len? And if not at this point, it's
Not at this point.
That's
I'd be
okay.
happy to do some, though, if people are interested.
right. And so I'll gauge that, and that could be a follow-up as well.
Sure.
And I've said to everybody, you will be receiving these slides with the recording of the webinar and video something else. I'll talk about your offers and affinity partner as well. Here's another question. Are there any stretches or exercises specifically to help with plantar fasciitis?
Yeah, that's a tough one. But the answer is yes. And typically it involves a tennis ball that you would use. It's not so much a stretch. It is just sort of starting to break up a little bit of the tissue that is, again, it's shortened typically. So you really want to try and just create some blood flow in that area. You know, there's a few other stretches, you know, where you're just kind of, it's along the lines of a calf stretch. Hard for me to give an explanation without a diagram, but typically like anything that has to do with a calf stretch will typically incorporate a stretch for your plantar.
Okay, I think that helps.
You know, I also recommend that you place a towel around the ball of your toe with your leg extended out, and take that towel and pull it in towards your body.
And stretch, yes, I get that too. I hope the person who asked that understands that, but that makes sense to me. And speaking of towels, here's a question. That was a good segue, right?
Yeah.
In physical therapy, she says they use a rolled towel roll behind our back. Is that to be used for the wall exercises behind our back?
That's a great question, because yes, sometimes people have it's difficult for people to place their lower back directly into the wall.
Exactly.
There's some lumbar issues, some lower lumbar issues that they have. So rolling up a towel and placing that behind your back while you're leaning into the wall is a great idea, and it'll take some of the pressure off of your lower back.
Mm-hmm.
I would start off that way, and
Okay.
then slowly start to work your way up to the point where you no longer need the towel.
Yeah, great recommendation. Great question. Because even I noticed, like, if you can't stand flush, that is extremely helpful. Okay, we still have quite a few questions here. If you do wall squats and your knee hurts, should you put a knee brace on first?
I would recommend for that, if you have knee issues, I would focus on doing this one right here with your toes flared out. That should really take a lot of the knee pain off the table. If you still experience knee pain, let's say you have knee pain in one knee but not another, put more emphasis on the leg that doesn't have the knee pain. Okay, so you kind of bear more onto the side of the knee that is, let's say, healthier than the other knee. I'm not a big bracer, because I feel like bracing tends to just, what's the word I'm looking for?
Mask.
Mask. Thank you.
Yeah.
Mask the symptoms. So, you know, it really depends on the type of knee issue. If you're coming off of an injury or a replacement or a surgery, in that case, I understand the benefit of using a brace. But if you have like a chronic knee issue, the brace itself is really, it's not really doing any benefit to you.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Great. Now switching to the core, which is to me just so important to help with everything. So this is really just a kind of a general question or statement. So this is a member of ours who says he's 64 and would like to focus more on the core. He used to go to the gym and liked lying on the floor to do an exercise called dead bug and lifting arms and legs alternatively.
Yep.
Can you either recommend that or some others for the core?
I know it well.
Dead bug sounds fun.
It's a great exercise. And if it's done correctly, where you have what's called a pelvic tilt, where you're keeping your back flat on the mat, it's very effective. So I recommend it. I think it's, you know, highly effective. There's a bunch of others that you can do on the floor. And it sounds like, you know, one of them is a heel slide. And again, without going into any great detail, you know, I take a lot of my exercises from the physical therapy world. So what I've done is I've actually gone and studied and mentored under physical therapists and orthopedics and chiropractors. And I've watched what they've done to rehabilitate their patients. And then I took those movements and I created exercises out of them. So that's
nice.
That's sort of where I'm at in the spectrum. And so, yeah, I mean, there are the dead bug, we call Supermans, all of those things. They're all from the physical therapy world. And they're very effective, you know, and there's lots of different variations that you can do once you learn the fundamental move. You know, and then there's lots of spin-offs from them.
Right, iterations of it. And again, the core is key. So don't neglect your core. Right? Then changing body parts yet again. Can you give any more specifics for neck exercises?
So neck exercises is...
I don't know if that's related to neck pain or injury or just...
You know, I always start off with neck stretches first, then exercises. So this one right here, the shoulder neck tuck, is a great way to start to train the neck to elongate the muscles right here. Because a lot of times we walk around with our shoulders notched up to our ears, right?
Yes.
Right. Yeah.
So
to try and drop those shoulders down, stick your chest out and arch your lower back, which sounds a lot easier than done. So this is a great place to start. So exercises for the neck is, again, it's very specific to what you're trying to achieve. But neck stretches in general are pretty general. Like everybody can pretty much do the same types of neck stretches. And the key to it is just trying to lengthen these muscles right here by tilting your ear towards your shoulder. So anytime you can tuck your neck down and tilt your ear towards your shoulder, you're lengthening these muscles right here, and you're definitely going to feel a lot better.
Great, I agree. Okay, this member says, I'm at a standing desk. I cross my right leg over my left all the time. It's a habit from years of sitting. Any way to unwind this?
Yeah, I know what he's saying. So another option to doing it this way is, rather than extending my right arm forward, I take this hand and I push this knee down with my hand.
Oh.
Does that make sense? So instead of leaning forward, I'm actually just lightly applying pressure to push this knee down, and that should correct some of that, that knee sort of jutting upward, that a lot of people face, because it's usually from tight hips and tight hip flexors.
Exactly, and I realized that it's basically a tight hip question. Those hip flexors that, yeah, require a lot of stretching, don't they?
You know what? People think stretching, a lot of people feel like it's a waste of time, but stretching is one of those things that if you don't do it, you lose it. And you get very small incremental gains from stretching. So you're not going to see this huge gain in your stretching, but what you're going to see is if you stop stretching, you're going to start to see a huge loss in your stretching. So
makes a lot of sense.
You just need to do every single day, and just to keep what you have.
Right. Back to your making it a way of life.
Hey, there we go.
Yeah, like that. I listen. It's so true, though. And then it does become a habit.
Yep. Yep.
One day after the next until it really does become a habit. That's what I like to say, too. We really only have a couple more. Actually, I'll take this as the last question because it is 7:30. I want to be, cognizant of everybody's time. This is actually related to scoliosis. So this person says, I have scoliosis, both of lumbar and thoracic spine with muscle weakness and spasm in the lower rotator cuff. I already do PT exercises to address the lumbar spine and rotator cuff issues and Schroth exercises, which I'm not aware of. Any of the movements you described, should I modify or avoid? Or are all of yours okay, basically, for this person with this issue?
What I would suggest, just given the history, I would have, you said it was a her, right? A woman?
Yes.
Have her make a copy of these slides and show them to her physical therapist.
Great suggestion. Makes sense.
That way, there's no questions as far as what she should or shouldn't do or how she shouldn't do it. And once again, if she were my client, I would have a conversation with her physical therapist, and we would go through and we would collaborate. And I'd learn from them what doing. I'd get their information, and then I would provide my information, and we come up with a game plan on how to work together. So I would love if she shared these slides with her physical therapist, and I would love if that physical therapist were to give me a call.
Okay. I love that too. That's great. Well, with that, Len, I think we need to wrap it up. And I know you gave everybody just some really very valuable, practical, tangible, excellent exercises, including I will be doing them. So thank you. Tremendous help. I greatly appreciate it.
I hope we could do this again.
I know, we will. Okay, and I just want to tell everybody as a reminder, you will be receiving the slides, the recording, and please look in the email that comes. We have some great offers from our affinity partners, including Len, and I'd like to welcome him as a new affinity partner for us. And again, thank you all. Stay safe, stay well. Please work on building in daily activity and exercise. And I hope to see everybody again soon. Have a great evening.
Thank you, everyone.
Okay. Good night. Bye.